say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly
Kate, stop. Please, just stop. The national anthem is butchered enough. Please, for the love of Francis Scott Key, don't make it worse. We're here to talk football. And with it happening to be the 4th of July, what better day is it to talk about the free agents that are still available in the NFL market? Welcome to NFL Study Hall. All right, now just to get a few formalities out of the way. First of all, the sweatshirt. Not real merch, just happen to have an awesome girlfriend who made it for me. Comment below, though, if you'd like to see some merch in the future. Also, shout out to the Orlando Wetlands for giving us this amazing scenery today. Link in the description below for how you can get out here. Now let's start talking some football. I think the most popular free agent and the biggest name on the market right now is DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals, played most of his career for the Houston Texans. Last year, not a great season. 9 games, 64 receptions, 717 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And if you know DeAndre Hopkins, you know this was a less than par season. The man's been in this league for 10 years, over 11,000 yards, and 71 touchdowns. This man is a 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. If he kept up this career for a few more seasons, give him another 5 years, this is a potential Hall of Fame we're talking about here. I don't need to show you too many highlights to show you that this man is the best of the best. In 2021, he was voted best play, or 2020, he was voted the best play of the year when he had his Hail Mary catch against the Buffalo Bills. You all have seen that one for sure. Now, when he signed his contract in 2020 with the Arizona Cardinals, he signed an extra 2-year extension to that between 2022 and 2023. That was 2 years, $54 million. The man was making bank before even playing with the Cardinals. That first year he did great. This last year hasn't been doing so well. He also had a knee and hamstring injury mid last year. That's why he wasn't able to play the full season. With him being injury riddled, less than par season, and also that the team is just tanking in general, the Arizona Cardinals got rid of him this spring, and now he is free game. Where I think he'll go, if he's smart, he takes a pay cut and goes with the Chiefs, because honestly, the Chiefs need a receiver and they are still Super Bowl ready. But what I think he'll do is I think he'll get the money from a different team, and I think that team will be the Tennessee Titans. He just met with the Tennessee Titans last week. He has known the AFC South. It's an easy division to win at. Tennessee Titans went through a whole bunch of injuries and internal problems last year that knocked them out of the playoff picture. Derrick Henry is still there. Ryan Tannehill is still a veteran, although I think he is on the decline. That Tennessee Titans defense came out strong mid last year. They were set to make a run at the playoffs before things kind of cratered with Tannehill and Jacksonville Jaguars took the storm. DeAndre Hopkins with this team would be a huge step up for them. Do I think they have a chance to take over the Jaguars? No, but for Hopkins to make bank and to be a number 1 wide receiver on a team, Tennessee Titans, I think that's where he's headed to. Now, the next 2 guys I want to talk about are 2 running backs that you've probably heard of, Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott. Now, Dalvin Cook was recently released by the Minnesota Vikings, but he had a heck of a season last year. 1,173 yards, 8 touchdowns, and played all 17 games. He's had a fantastic 6-year career, just under 6,000 yards and 47 touchdowns. He's made the Pro Bowl each of the last 4 years. Now, Minnesota's just been struggling in general, and they felt like Alexander Mattison, whoever they're going to pick up, can do the workload just as well as Cook and be able to save a little bit of money. I still think Dalvin Cook is a solid running back 1 in the NFL. And the place I think he should go to, who should pick him up, and that I kind of personally want, is the Miami Dolphins. Now, respect to Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr., who put up a solid year last year, but the Dolphins were still 25th in overall rushing. Tua Tagovailoa staying healthy, one of the best wide receiver duos in the league in Hill and Waddle. I think the Dolphins are primed to make a run in the playoffs. The running game would certainly help, and I think Dalvin Cook is the man to make it happen. Ezekiel Elliott, on the other hand, clearly had a drop-off last year, only 876 yards, a career low for him, but he still was able to get into the end zone with 12 touchdowns. It was clear that Tony Pollard was going to be the number 1 running back in Dallas. Letting go of Ezekiel Elliott keeping some money, able to pay Dak Prescott instead, I think it was the right move. However, I still think Ezekiel Elliott is a solid running back in a two-tier system. I don't think he's that solo running back that can lead a team anymore, but he is a ground and pound guy, kind of a lot like James Conner, who can really just get you into the red zone, who can really just get you into the end zone in the red zone. And I think the best place for him, and honestly, he will probably go here, is the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, add him to the list, get him in the end zone. I think the Baltimore Ravens can even pack that running game more with an Ezekiel Elliott in their lineup. The last two offensive guys I want to talk about, I actually have predicting going to the exact same team. The first one is Kareem Hunt, our third running back. Now, Hunt has spent his last 4 years with the Cleveland Browns, definitely having fallen off after his amazing rookie season with the Kansas City Chiefs when he actually led the league in rushing yards with just over 1,300. He was able to put up 841 in 2020, but this last year he only put up 468 with only 3 touchdowns. Nick Chubb has definitely done his work in Cleveland. Kareem Hunt's a free agent. He needs to go somewhere else. I would love to see him in a Cincinnati Bengals uniform. Joe Mixon just lost P. Ryan, and now they got nobody to help him out, and he's obviously been a little bit disappointed with what the team has done with him thus far. Kareem Hunt is a solid running back. Not enough to be running back one, but he's a beautiful backup, and I think he would work perfectly staying in Ohio with the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Mixon. The other guy I see going to Cincinnati is Taylor Lewin, left tackle who has spent his last 9 seasons all with the Tennessee Titans. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. He only played 2 games last year due to a torn ACL, but the man had a solid 2021 season with only allowing 4 sacks in 846 snaps. I still think he's a solid lineman. The Cincinnati Bengals just picked up Orlando Brown Jr. for their left side. Lewin could easily go over to the right side. This is a team that has desperately needed some revamping on the offensive line. One half is done, and I think they can go get the other half in Taylor Lewin. All right, guys, time to talk some defense. I want to go over some cornerbacks first. Byron Jones and Eli Apple. Now, to be fair, both these guys are kind of middle of the pack cornerbacks. Byron Jones had 0 interceptions last year with 10 passes deflected. Eli Apple also with 0 interceptions and 8 passes deflected. But these guys are still both solid cornerbacks who have been in the year for quite some time. Byron Jones, 8 years, 2 teams. Eli Apple, 7 years, 4 or 5 different teams. He's been around the block, right? But Eli Apple has had 5 career interceptions, 7 forced fumbles, 7 tackles for losses. Byron Jones with 4 interceptions of his own. They're still names. They're still people who will draw attention to your team. I think Byron Jones is going to head to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This team is in dire need of a cornerback. They just lost Shaquille Griffin. All they have right now are Tyson Campbell and Darius Williams, who are 2 solid names, but I think Byron Jones will just boost that cornerback team a little bit more. Eli Apple, I have going to the Las Vegas Raiders. This team was 29th in passing yards allowed last year, and right now on the docket is Nate Hobbs and Duke Shelley, 2 guys that, to be dead honest, I hadn't heard of till I was starting to make this video. I think Eli Apple is a solid name to get the Raider crew going out west. The next 2 guys I want to talk about are linebackers, Deion Jones and Melvin Ingram. Now, Deion Jones has had a solid career. 7 years, 11 sacks, 12 interceptions. Last year, though, he only did play 11 games with a shoulder injury and only had 2.5 sacks. but I still think the man is a name and has a solid few years left in him. That being said, I think he's headed to the Houston Texans. The Texans are desperate, and I mean desperate, for a linebacker. And Deion Jones is not the best on the market, but I think he's someone that the Texans can afford, along with some other guys, to really help this rushing attack. They were last in rushing yards allowed last year, pretty close to 200 yards allowed. I think Deion Jones is going to be able to help with that area. Melvin Ingram is a 3-time Pro Bowler. The man has had 57 career sacks, had 6 of them last year. He's also had 16 forced fumbles in his career. The man is a beast. He spent 9 years with the LA Chargers. Last year with the Miami Dolphins, did extremely well with the Dolphins, in my opinion, last year. He is a free agent, and I think he's headed back to the Chargers. Go back to where he originally made a name for himself. The Chargers still need defensive help. Khalil Mack is waiting for someone in the second end or someone to help out on the other edge. Joey Bosa is there, I know, as well. But Melvin Ingram only, I believe, has a few more years left in him. He's been in this league for 11 years. The Chargers need defense. The Chargers are primed to make another playoff run, even though they went out last year in the first round. Melvin Ingram, still in good health, going over to the Chargers to finish off his career. So guys, as we come to the end of our journey, I only have one more player to go over. Yannick Ngakoue, defensive edge from the Indianapolis Colts, made a name for himself with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hasn't had a single season where he's had less than 8 sacks. He had 9.5 sacks last year in 15 games. He's had 65 total sacks and 65 tackles for losses. He is tied for 7th with the most sacks since 2016. The man still has it.
Where else you go?
Where does he go from here? The Philadelphia Eagles. Now I know what you're thinking. Eagles are already stacked on defense. So, add another guy. Like, the Eagles don't care how many stars they have on defense. They got Brandon Graham. They got Nakobe Dean. They got all these guys up front. I don't care. They can keep at Fletcher Cox, now that I'm thinking of him. Keep adding the defensive line. The Philadelphia Eagles, I think, would get him on the cheap too, to a short contract. And Ngakoue finally can get himself a ring, which I think there is a very, very good chance when he's in Philadelphia. Guys, have an amazing 4th of July. Please come out to the Orlando Wetlands. We had an amazing time today, and I'll catch you next time. Time for a trick shot. Peace out, y'all. Let's go.